Hi, I'm Claire Tucker, and I currently serve as President and CEO of Capstar Bank.
I'm Susan McClure. I'm a retired nurse, and I do volunteer work.
I'm Eileen Catcher. I'm a partner with Catcher, Vaughn & Bailey Public Relations.
Hi, I'm Debbie Turner. I'm the President and General Manager of the News Channel 5 Network.
I'm Fran Hardcastle. My interests have been in health care for children as a volunteer.
I'm Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie, the presiding bishop of the 13th Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Hi, I'm Barbara Moss. I'm a lawyer with Stites and Harbison, and I've practiced law for 31 years. My favorite quote is from Helen Keller. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. It's not that I've been so brave as to always have daring adventures. Sometimes I've been terrified, but I do believe that you have to take risk. There have been times in my life where I took a deep breath, and when I blew it out, something had changed. And you know, there were moments that I didn't choose, but they happened to me, and they made a difference.
The quote is, "Evil triumphs because of the silence of good men and women." That has been like a guide to my life, that there are certain times when you need to speak, even if you're the only one speaking. We were watching television. They were showing the news films of what was happening down south. This was the time when the hoses and the dogs were let out. First time I ever saw my dad cry. And he turned to me and he said, "Vashti, don't let anybody have to ask you what you did for your people, what you do for your community, and what you have done for your country."
The words that come to my mind are that I have embraced, but did not originate, nor do I know who did originate. I'm only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. And what I can do, with God's help, I will do. And I feel like what we can do, we can't pay back those who've gone before us, but we can pay it forward. And I think that's an important thing.
Well, I have always tried to do the love ethics that Jesus taught. Love with the Lord thy God with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my strength. And love my neighbor as myself, not the person next door, but whoever I find to be my neighbor. One of the moments that I cherish is when my church in New Orleans decided they were going to help me come to Nashville to go to the American Baptist College to learn more about mission, because I was very, very interested in doing mission work there in the streets of New Orleans.
The quote that I try to pattern my life's work and activities after comes from the book of Micah in the Old Testament. What is asked of us but to love justice, to behave with kindness, and to always act in humility. The biggest life-changing moment for me was the day my son was born. Important as a mother, but also really crystallizing for me the importance of other people outside of myself.
The quote that I definitely use to guide my life is to live life every single day to the absolute fullest. I think one of the lessons I've learned in life, though, and have become more comfortable with as I've gotten older, is, you know what, it's okay to say no. And my philosophy now as I've gotten older is, unless I'm exceedingly passionate about it, I shouldn't be engaged.
Well, when I was in the 6th grade, all the girls had autograph books, and we took them around to have signed by friends and teachers. And I asked my dad to sign it, and he wrote in it, "Aim high and persevere." And I've always tried to live by those words. And I truly believe you can't second guess yourself throughout life. You just need to keep moving forward in a positive way.
There are so many opportunities for women and men now to choose a life's path. And I think they have to be very intentional about the decisions they're making.
I had an interesting experience early in my career. I had set some pretty lofty goals for myself, one of which I've now achieved, but a woman who I worked with at the time told me that it would be impossible in my lifetime for a woman to ever achieve that particular goal. So that really had an impact on me, in that it really ignited my passion to achieve that goal.
Claire, that's kind of interesting, because when I first became general manager at Channel 5, there was this big Landmark meeting, and the CEO of Landmark introduced me to the crowd as the first female general manager of a Landmark property. And I said, I certainly appreciate the introduction, but I do not want to be remembered as the first female general manager of a Landmark property. What I want to be remembered as the best general manager.
Oh, I can identify with that. Having been the first woman elected a bishop in the AME church, all I wanted to do was to be the best preacher that I could, the best pastor that I could, and the best bishop that I could, being responsible for the people who looked to me for leadership.
In 1979, I was at a meeting with my boss downtown, and we were running late, and he said, I have a lunch at the City Club, you'll have to come with me. And so he took me over there. They took one look at me, stuck me behind a potted palm, and explained to him that I could not go into the dining room because women were not allowed to be members of the City Club. Fast forward to last year, the City Club called and asked me if I would go on their board. And even though I was kind of maxed out on volunteer opportunities, I thought this is an opportunity I cannot turn down.
Madeleine Albright says there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. So I make a real point to mentor women, and also men, because everybody needs to have someone to turn to. For the first 10 years that I practiced law, there was not another woman in the case or on the bench in any case that I worked on. It wasn't so much that anybody was to blame. It's that we were all growing up in a culture that didn't see women as powerful attorneys. And it was just something that had to be changed, and it has changed.
You know, I mean, it's just a whole different world. And, you know, I think it's just important that we all understand that times do change, but it does take, you know, perseverance by each one of us to make those changes.
The mentors that we had before us showed us what we could do, because they didn't have the type of things that we have now to work with, but they went on through, so we go through too.
When we discriminate against people by gender or race or any other characteristic that they have no control over, it's an easy way for us to say, they're not like me, and so I don't have to worry if they're poor, if they're disadvantaged, if they're put in prison when they're innocent. The goal of eliminating racism and eliminating sexism and all those other isms is a goal of taking away that easy answer and helping us to see that every person has inherent dignity and worth.
Many times we take a look at problems as being so enormous, so big, that we don't do anything about it. We become overwhelmed. But if we take it one child at a time, if you can influence the life of one child in your neighborhood, one child in your church, one child in your community, then you would have turned that child's life around, and that child can now touch someone else.
Interpersonal communication needs to be at the forefront, and young people, men and women, need to know when it's time to stop text messaging, to stop emailing, and to pick up the phone and call somebody, or to go visit them in their office or their home and have a face-to-face conversation.
One of those aha moments for me was early on as general manager, a group of African American employees from the newsroom asked to meet with me. And they said to me, in our entire career, and many of them had spanned many decades, they never felt included. So we do have a long way to go, and I'm focused on achieving that.
What I would say to other women today is that you really don't need to play the gender card, but just strive to be the best person that you possibly can in your position, in your career aspirations. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that the best person will be selected for the opportunity.
I think some of the organizations that we've been a part of, and the YW is certainly one, is an example of what women can do, and can do for other women, but for the community as well. And we recognize now that everybody has their own interests, their talents, their abilities, and gender and race are part of who we are, but it's not the defining part.
And I think gender and race do not have anything to do with what we are going through. We'll go through and we don't stop. And if you fall down, you get up and help to pull yourself up. And a lot of times we go through things that we think we cannot accomplish, but by our prayers and our thinking of others, I think we can do it. And I think that we will keep on until everybody will know that we are women that will achieve.